How's it going, everybody? My name is Infamous Isaac, and I'm here with a video on a topic that I've been thinking about for a little bit. And it all stems from a couple of shows, and my friend recommended to me The Walking Dead, right? And this all comes together in like an idea that is kind of similar to the should it be a movie or a game topic, but in a different sense. It does involve series, so like more of like the TV aspect or something. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. You have The Walking Dead, right? That show went on for a long time. It has 11 seasons. Super long. And my friend was like, yeah, this show, it feels like it's a show where it should have ended at a certain point. It could have ended at a certain point. But it just was too popular and it went on for too long. And then you go from a show that has millions of viewers to only a million viewers at the end of the series, right? And he was telling me all this stuff, and I was just like, man, that's interesting. Because The Walking Dead is an AMC show, just like Breaking Bad. But Breaking Bad ended all the way back in like 2015. And I think The Walking Dead and Breaking Bad came around like similar time periods, like at least like in a span of like 5 years. So to see a show go on for that long, compared to when Breaking Bad ended like, 10 years ago now, when I'm recording this, it's interesting to see because you have one aspect of a show where it goes on for super long because it gets amazing ratings. It's pulling in a crazy amount of viewers. And granted, this is the old way of watching shows now. Instead of doing streaming with the way it's taken over the past decade, this was how it was. You literally go in, you watch a show like every week. Let's say like Wednesday, 10:30 p.m. because that's when South Park used to air on Comedy Central. But then now you have weekly releases, which they still release the same way. It's always weekly at a certain time, but now it's on streaming services, so you don't have to tune in at that specific time. And that's what makes the availability of streaming services so great. It takes that old method of TV and it modernizes it. Like with Netflix or Hulu or HBO Max or any other 8 billion streaming services that popped up over the last 5 years. With The Walking Dead or with a show like SpongeBob, because I'm more familiar with that. I haven't watched The Walking Dead yet. Hopefully, I will in the future. I do have plans to check it out at least. With a show like SpongeBob, you have a show where it was supposed to end back in 2004 with the original SpongeBob movie, which by the way, at some point I want to make a video on because that is one of my favorite movies of all time, and that is not a joke. That is not me playing around or anything like that. Every time I talk about that movie, I cry because it means so much to me. But that's a different video for a different time. But that show was supposed to end after the original 2004 SpongeBob movie release. But Nickelodeon kept it going, and then they kept it going, and then they kept it going, and going and going and going, even after Steven Hillenburg's unfortunate passing. And it sucks to see because SpongeBob had a clear-cut ending of him getting promoted in the movie, but then they just kept it going, and it felt disrespectful because at that point it was Nickelodeon just showing like, hey, we own SpongeBob. This isn't yours anymore. And that's what I see usually when a show gets prolonged and it keeps going when it doesn't need to. Is that usually it's the company that's like, yo, we need to milk this as much as we can. It's not about the creative process that came with it. It's more in the sense of I want money because this is how a company works. We need money to keep the business afloat. It is a business at the end of the day. It's just like how the NBA is a business, even though there's real people involved in this business, right? And with a creator like Steven Hillenburg, God rest his soul, that's gotta hurt. That's genuinely gotta hurt because then at that point, even after your passing, your creation is just, it's not in your hands anymore. It's the same with like George Lucas in Star Wars, right? Even though he sold Lucasfilms to Disney, at the end of the day, you made Star Wars. And you see what's happening with Star Wars. And I'm not saying that it's like, oh, Star Wars is so bad now. Oh my gosh. Like, no, I'm just saying, like, whatever happens with Star Wars is out of your control unless if you're involved with the creation of those movies, of those properties. Like with the sequel trilogy, George Lucas wasn't involved in that because he sold Lucasfilms, like, so he could get away from Star Wars. He can basically stop telling stories. And while he is the creator, at that point, it's not his anymore. There's no way that there isn't some form of attachment there, right? Like going back to SpongeBob, there's no way that Steven Hillenburg didn't feel some type of way about that. And that's what sucks about the corporate business world, right? Is that there's always going to be people in higher places above you in your station compared to their station that just have more power in that industry. And it sucks because it means that the little man doesn't get any help unless if it's like a huge movement. But that's just what it comes down to. And those same people that make those decisions can prolong a show, if even if it's your favorite, and then it's a shell of what it used to be. Like with SpongeBob, where I loved like the from 2004 to 2007 episodes of SpongeBob around there. I didn't like 2008 and above because that's where we get one of the worst episodes ever with like the Squidward toenail episode or episodes going forward because it just got gross. It was really nasty. I love SpongeBob, but man, at a certain point, I was just like, all right, we need to stop. It's over. The run is done. With corporate businesses, you have decisions like that, as I mentioned before, but you also have decisions where shows get cut too short because they don't pull in enough ratings. And I have a bunch of examples of that. If you were watching shows during the 2010s, 2000s, or 90s, you have a show that you remember that got canceled and you don't know why. One of the shows for me that I remember was Symbiotic Titan. That show got canceled after one season, and I thought it was great. Well, I rewatched it like in 2020. It's alright, it's nothing crazy, but it had potential. And that's what I loved about the show. That and it was also a part of my childhood. But you also have Star Wars The Clone Wars. That show got canceled, season 7, because they were working on it through season 8, and George Lucas sold Lucasfilms to Disney. So they didn't want to have Cartoon Network have that property running at the same time when Disney owns that property. Like, there is a bunch of diamonds in the rough that you can find, or bad shows that just got canceled because they were bad. There's no way around it. That shows got canceled for one reason or another, but the main prevailing reason is that it just didn't appeal to a mass audience, whether you liked it or not, and that sucks. That genuinely sucks because I saw one of the things that sparked this conversation for me, besides The Walking Dead, was Inside Job. I think it's the show. What it's called. It's on Netflix, and it got canceled after one season. And I wanted to give it a shot at some point, and I still will. It's not like I'm gonna stop because it got canceled. But it sucks to see that a show that apparently a lot of people liked just got canceled like that, or at least like on the internet, a lot of people liked. Even with the streaming service era that we're in right now, with the mindsets that people have, companies have of going about watching their shows, it still happens. You can have shows that go on for too long. You can have shows that get canceled prematurely and tragically. And there's just no way around that because TV is still TV. It's entertainment, and those, again, archaic methods that were still prevalent last decade are somehow still going to come through this decade because it's still, again, TV. And that sucks. That genuinely sucks because that means that you have a chance of losing one of your favorite shows to corporate decisions because it got prematurely cut. And while the first one is like it got extended too far, and now it's not what it used to be. And the original people leave because it's not the original vision. And like Call of Duty actually had that too, with like Respawn being formed and Titanfall being made because of them leaving after Modern Warfare 2, and then Modern Warfare 3 being made, and then Call of Duty kind of having a downfall afterwards. It happens all the time, is what I'm trying to say. And it's really interesting to think about. Let me know below if you guys have a show that got extended too far and is now a former shell of what it used to be. Like maybe you could look at Family Guy or something like that, or The Simpsons, where The Simpsons went from having funny original episodes with meaning behind them to celebrity guest stars every episode, or Family Guy, which I'm not going to talk about because I haven't watched Family Guy in a long time. Let me know any show that you can think of because there's a bunch of them. Like, genuinely, there are a bunch of them, and I know because I've experienced them, and I just probably don't remember a bunch of them. But again, I'll see you all in the next video. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and thank you all for watching. I think I went through that reverse, I don't know, but peace.